We have a number of very fundamental deficits in our society. Social deficits, education deficits, health deficits, and then of course a very large and growing infrastructure deficit, so roads not maintained, bridges not maintained, water systems, etc. And in large part that's a result of generations of politicians promising people that they would cut their taxes, but not engaging people in the conversation about the consequences of that, and then getting elected to government, cutting taxes, and also cutting programs. We're now living with the legacy of that. The same is true of local governments. Local governments have a tendency to try to manage to zero-based budgets, so zero tax increases year over year. There's a danger in that because a zero tax increase, if that's what you're managing to, keeps putting you backwards every year because at a minimum you're not covering inflation. So again, I think all politicians should be honest with people about the relationship between taxes and services and programs and maintaining infrastructure, and in our case, building a resilient, sustainable community. So this council, as the last council, has taken the principle that tax increases are necessary. They're necessary to cover inflation. They are necessary to take on the additional responsibilities that people want us to take on. Improve snow removal, more policing function, more housing planning. And they're necessary because every year we'll get more downloading from provincial and federal governments, whether it's changes in regulation that mean we have to manage our landfill differently, or we have to manage our water systems differently, or the absence of those governments in critical areas like homelessness, like the issues that we have with public safety or on the streets, or in areas like climate change and First Nations relations where we have to be more involved. So the Council of Quesnel has decided that we need to be honest about what we're doing. We can't find areas that the city is delivering services that people want us to cut. And in order to add services and maintain services, we need to increase taxes year over year. So last year in 2020, when other governments were responding to COVID with zeroing out their tax increases or reducing their tax increases, we chose to stay the course because we believed that we had put a budget together that made sense going into that year. But we gave direction to staff to reduce spending and control spending wherever they could, because we knew the year was going to be different. The programs were going to be different. The way that people trained, for example, or traveled was going to be different. And kudos to the city staff across the board, they did that. So going into the 2021 budget, we took the same principle that we needed to cover the actual costs of running the city, and it would have been a 4.6% tax increase in order for us to do that. But because of the staff's work in our 2020 budget, they were able to accrue savings by posting a surplus. Those savings are now going to be used to reduce the 2021 taxation, along with a grant that we got from the provincial government that's covering off the loss of casino revenues and some of the issues we have at the airport. So this year we were able to only increase taxes, overall taxes, by 2.5%. It's about $14, $15 per 100,000 assessed value for homeowners. $33 or so for the average homeowner in Quesnel. We think that that's justified. But the key thing for our council is we're unlike other communities. We're not in a situation that by giving that tax relief, we're creating deficits in the future, and we're creating the potential for very large increases in the future. We're able to only increase our taxes this year by that 2.5% overall because of the due diligence we've done and because of the work that staff did to reduce the costs of the 2020 year. So I would invite all of you to take a hard look at our budget. We're always open to where you think we are not delivering quality services and where we could do cost savings. We look for that every year and we can't find it, so if you can find it, please do get in touch. But I still maintain that overall The best value for dollar, hands down, is the value you get from your property taxes. Across the board in all the program services, the infrastructure, the kind of community that you get, that's value that you don't get in most other circumstances, and it's a good value for us. So please take a look at our operating budget, take a look at our capital budget. We now have put those into play for this year, and I look forward to any comments or feedback you have on those budgets, because again, we'll start the next budget cycle for 2022 right away.